You work out too much. Why don't you just skip one? Why don't you just take a rest day? These comments always come from people who don't value their own dreams, let alone yours. They can't fathom the concept of going all in on yourself, to just give a goal and an outcome absolutely everything you have. Don't listen to these people. Because the honest truth is, if you're going to go out there and you're going to kill it, if you're going to chase greatness, if you're going to chase something bigger than yourself, there is no fucking cheer squad. There is really no support. It is just you and getting that work done, day in and day out. They won't understand why you sacrifice so much, why you give up so much in the pursuit of this dream, of being the greatest version of yourself. Because they've never had a dream like that. They've never committed hard enough to something to understand why you'd be willing to sacrifice so much for it. So don't listen to their advice. Because the other side of it, the other problem with this is that results are slow. Results take time. They take consistency, they take effort, they take hands and fucking daylight. So you must continually show up this way. You must continue pushing forward. You must remember why you started and the feeling that you're envisioning when you get there. Because you must keep going back to that pain. Because let's be real here, we've spoken about it before, but there are two ways, or two reasons I should say, that people change and make massive change in their life. They're either escaping pain or they're chasing pleasure. Now the problem with escaping pleasure is, chasing pleasure is that when shit is hard, and it's gonna be hard, it becomes really difficult to continue pushing forward. It becomes really difficult to continue suffering through if your life is already pretty decent and you're just chasing something better again. It becomes really easy to then give up, to quit, because you're chasing something that's better again, but it's not like you're hurting. When you're running away from pain, it's much easier to continue pushing forward. It's much easier to push into the suffering, to embrace the suck, to just do whatever is fucking required, because, well, you're already in pain. So you're already suffering. What difference does a little more matter? And if you're gonna hurt, if you're gonna suffer, it might as well be for something that you want rather than suffering for something you don't want. And I think that's often the problem with it. It's why people give up. It's why people quit. Because, as I said, there is no cheer squad. There is no one celebrating you. There will be a long, long journey of just you, golf clapping it out, just supporting yourself, just cheering you on until people recognize what you've achieved and who you've become. And then they'll talk about how they know you and how they are so proud of what you've done. But for the longest time, it'll just be you. It'll just be you and the lonely chapter. Just you grinding it out, doing the work that you know is required to get to where you want to get to. And this is part of it, that you have to find the reason why. And people quit because, as I said, if you're chasing pleasure and your life's all right, it's really hard to suffer. But also, if you're running from pain, once your life is okay again, once your life gets back to decent, it becomes really easy to quit. It becomes really easy to forget the pain and suffering you were in before. It becomes really easy to be like, oh, well, this is good. This is good enough. It's not what you want. It's not where you want to be, but it's good enough. But you can't continue that way. Because that's how you oscillate. That's where you know, yo-yoing comes from. Because you just bounce back and forth. Because you never truly reach where you want and you get just enough out of pain, and then you stop, and eventually you end up back in pain, and so you start again, but you never really follow through. That's why we talk about, more than anything, that you're building the discipline muscle, that it's not about the end goal, it's about winning the fucking day. Because all those other people can't understand why you'd continue to do this. Other people can't understand why you'd keep showing up like this, why you'd keep doing the work like this. Because they don't understand. But you need to understand that you need, more than anything, to build the discipline muscle rather than focus on motivation. Because motivation ebbs and flows. It disappears like the tides. You need discipline, because discipline doesn't give a shit about your feelings. Discipline doesn't give a shit about your thought processes, about what's going on in life. All it cares about is, are you gonna do the work? Yes, no. End of story. Did you give your word for it? Yeah? Then it's getting done. That's the end of the fucking story. And you've got to build that discipline muscle, that's who you are, that you gave your word. You said you were going to do this. Therefore, it's done. Unquestionably so. It is done. And that's the end of the story. The more you can get to that point, the more you can reach a point of, this is about discipline. This is about winning the day. This is about the man I'm becoming rather than the end outcome, the more likely you are to follow through. Because yeah, it'd be really easy to give up on this dream. It'd be really easy to give up and say it's not working. But you have to just double down. You just have to trust the process, trust your discipline, and be a man of your word. And even if it doesn't work out, even if at the end of it all, you don't end up where you wanted to be, and life doesn't turn out the way you thought it should, that's okay. Because, cliches are cliches for a reason. It's about who you're becoming along the way. It's about who you become on the journey to that dream, to that end goal. It's about developing grit and determination and discipline and mental fortitude. It's about learning to give consistent effort, to give hands and daylight, to just do the work because the work is required. When you develop that skill, when you develop that as a way of life, as a definition of your personality, now you're a different beast. So yeah, maybe this one doesn't work out. Maybe this one wasn't meant for you. Maybe you fall short on this dream or whatever it might be. But you know what? You've developed the skills now. So now you can crush the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And now you're leading by example. And now you know who you are. And now you become the man that you want to be. Now you're living as the man you want to be. Now life is different. Now you show up in life differently. And that's where we want to get to. That's what we're trying to reach. That, yeah, it'd be all sunshine and rainbows if you actually reach this end goal. If you reach your dreams that you were chasing. But who you become along the way, that's worth its weight in gold. That's what you're actually chasing. You don't even realize it. We set goals for the feelings that we'll get when we get there. I want to achieve X. I want to have a six-pack. I want to be rich. I want to be, in a relationship, or, I want to have that job, or whatever it might be. You do that for the feelings that you get from achieving that. But if you work out how to become that man, if you work out how to be that guy along the way, and you embody it along the way, then you've already won, because you've already achieved the feelings that you were seeking from that. Everything else on top of that is just a cherry on top. And then you are more likely to achieve the other outcome because you're already living as that man. You're already living as that guy. You show up and you have those habits. You take the actions of man who is disciplined, who has fortitude, who is leading his best life, who is chasing his greatness. You have those habits already ingrained in you. So yeah, life will get better because of that. It's about becoming that man. That's like when they talk about winning the lottery. The reason why most people squander when they win the lottery is because they're still living as if they're the old person. So they still spend as if they're that person. Or they have the spending habits of someone who is broke. So the money dissipates. You know, and you talk about people who've had hundreds of millions of dollars bestowed upon them. And it dissipates because they basically didn't have the thermostat level to handle that kind of money. And that's that's a big factor in this, that we have these standards for our life, and they can be whatever. It comes back to, we were talking the other day about stories, but it's like having a thermostat set. My thermostat is set for 20 degrees, for example. And you have that in life. You have that with how much money you should have. You should have that with where your relationships should be. You have that with how happy you are. You have that with your physical body. You have that with all these things. And so when you make changes and you don't reset your thermostat, eventually, over time, you'll come back to that level. So if you go, well, your thermostat stat as, I'm a fat dude, I'm a chunky monkey, that's who I am, you can do all the right things. You can get yourself into the greatest physical shape of your life. But until you change that as being your baseline, at some point, you're going to revert back to that. At some point, you're going to kick back into being that guy. Because that's your baseline. It's your homeostasis. It's where you feel comfortable being, whether you know it or not. So you have to change that definition. Long before, and I still don't think I've truly reached it, but when I started 126 to Greatness, I consciously and deliberately every day went in and set my thermostat as, I am the most disciplined man. I am fit, I am strong, and I'm a man of my word. I do what I say, and I do what is required regardless of my feelings. As I said, I still think I've got a long, long way to go to truly reset my thermostat, especially after we saw the Christmas break. It was really easy and to be enticed back and slip back into old patterns. And I had to make really clear, conscious decisions to not do that, to not go back to my past. And so I have to keep ingraining these levels as, this is who I am. This is the man I am. This is the man I want to be. Because otherwise I'll end up back where I was. So you have to change the thermostat as well as building the discipline. Because if the discipline side of it is just on the surface level, you'll reset. You'll reset to where you feel comfortable. You'll reset to who you think you are. That's why when we talk about losing weight, it's something astronomical, and I don't know the exact figures, but it's in the 90% plus range of people who lose weight will put it back on. I think it might even be something as high as 95%, because they don't change fundamentally who they are. They keep reverting back, and especially because, as I said, you go through the lonely chapter where people who haven't chased their dreams doubt you. People who've never done anything difficult and committed all in to pursue something bigger than themselves, they doubt you. So it's easier to return to normality. It's easier to slip back into those things. It's a conversation I have all the time of, oh, but it's not that bad. What about these situations? And I'm like, the answer is no. You have to make it a non-negotiable. You have to set the standards. And I get it. It's fucking hard. We are built into this society where food, alcohol, being lazy, all those kinds of things are just ingrained. and to not partake is weird. To eat healthy food is considered dieting. To exercise every day is to be a gym junkie, to be a freak, to be obsessed. That in itself screams everything you need to know about our society, because that should be the normal. Eating healthy food and exercising daily should be the normal. That should be the minimum fucking requirement, because that's just making good life choices. But we've gotten so backwards and we've lost our way so much that you can consider it extreme from doing things that should just be the normal. That should just be, your average Joe. It shouldn't put you in the elite of the elite. Working out every day puts you in like the top 5% already. So it separates you so drastically. So yeah, it's gonna be lonely because people will not understand. It's gonna be lonely because people will not understand why you're willing to do it, and then they will judge you for it and also want to bring you down because it makes them feel bad. And I have a newsflash for you. If you're gonna undertake this, if you're gonna start chasing greatness, if you're gonna pursue your highest good, you need to get comfortable with making others uncomfortable. You need to get comfortable with making people question their own life choices. Because one, I think it's a good thing. I think it's an important thing. I think you're doing a great civil service by doing it. But two, it's just a part of it that you are going to hold up this mirror and shine a bright fucking beacon down on them, on the choices that we make. I told you a little while back that apparently people, unconscious to me, are intimidated and will adjust their eating habits because I'm around. So when we go out for dinner and we visit people, or we, go to play dates or things like that, they will provide different food because I'm coming. I've never once asked for that. I have never once said anything about the food that has been presented to me, because if you want to take that on, I am all for it. I feel excited for you that this is an opportunity for you to recognize that your choices are not the best and you need to make changes. That's fantastic. But I am also not going to preach to the people who don't want to listen. I learned a long, long time ago that there is no point trying to change someone who doesn't want to change themselves. So I don't fucking say anything. I never bring it up. I never do anything. But they will adjust to me because they recognize the standards that I set for myself. And it makes people feel guilty about it. And that's good. So it should. It should make them question their own life choices. It should make them question what they're willing to do. You should make people feel uncomfortable. But that's why it's going to be lonely for a while. Because, some people will have the wake-up call. Some people will recognize that they are not doing enough. But many will just judge you and not want to be a part of it. And that's okay too. You've just got to be strong enough to live your life and know that you're pursuing your greatness and you're pursuing your best version. Because that's what it's about. That's what we're seeking here. And that's what we have to do. So get out there and do that. Get out there and make better choices. Get out there and do what is required. Because it's going to be lonely and people will question your choices. But understand that they haven't pursued a dream like you're pursuing a dream. They haven't gone out there and done the work that is required. But you have, and you're willing to continue to push forward. You're willing to continue to do what is required. And you should be damn proud of that. And just keep in mind why you started, why you begun this journey, why you undertook it. Because that's what matters. That's what's really important. So, that's all I have for you at this time. Now, if you're ready to step forward, if you're ready to enter the lonely chapter a little bit, but to discover who you can truly be on the other side, please shoot me a message. Let's get you into chasing greatness now. If you're not quite there yet, click the link in my bio, grab the top 10 tools to transform your mental toughness. And lastly, if you enjoyed this, if it spoke to you, if you took note of it, if you took value from it, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And most importantly, subscribe. Let the algorithm know, let me know, let everyone know that this is of an interest to you, because the majority of people do not subscribe. They are just watching and not subscribing, but it helps everyone if you're on board and you're subscribed, because I'm here every single day, leading from the front, leading by example, and sharing this journey as I go through it, and hoping to help you avoid all the mistakes I made along the way. So I'll be back again tomorrow. Until then.